Lee Radarte sits alone at a stark metal interrogation table, projecting an air of complete calm. He believes he is simply waiting to clear up a minor traffic warrant. In reality, he has been taken into custody as the prime suspect in the kidnapping and murder of his co-worker, Savannah Gold. Unbeknownst to Lee, investigators have already reviewed security footage showing Savannah getting into his car, the car visibly shaking from a struggle, and Lee driving out of the lot. This creates an immediate, massive information gap. Lee is operating under a set of assumptions that the detectives already know are false, creating a tension that will build as his story begins to deviate from the physical evidence. The detectives begin by establishing a baseline, asking a remarkably simple question: how long have you known her? Instead of a brief response, Lee talks for over 5 minutes. He volunteers a flood of unprompted details about movie nights, about mutual backgrounds, and social encounters that the detectives never asked about. This behavior is known as verbal overcompensation. While a normal response is short and direct, a guilty subject often provides excessive, unsolicited details to simulate transparency and maintain control over the narrative. To an untrained ear, Lee might sound cooperative. To the detectives, this extreme over-explanation suggests that Lee isn't recalling a memory, but is instead reciting a rehearsed script. Once the baseline is set, the detectives introduce friction. They catch Lee in a small, targeted lie regarding the exact time he last saw Savannah in the parking lot. This pressure forces Lee to abandon his prepared script. He now has to invent a brand new alibi entirely in real time. He claims Savannah entered his car to use heroin, became paranoid, and after a brief argument, fled into an older model green pickup truck that happened to be passing by. This improvised alibi is a high-risk gamble. By guessing what evidence the police might have, Lee introduces specific, verifiable details that the detectives can immediately cross-reference with their footage. Tracking a chaotic, tangled web of improvised details demands so much mental processing power that the story eventually collapses. As limits are reached, the nervous system physically betrays the body, a phenomenon called leakage, happening when the meter hits the overload zone. Lee tries to manage his appearance by keeping his core unnaturally still, an attempt to project an aura of calm, but that internal stress finds other exits. While delivering his first major lie, his leg bounces rapidly and rhythmically under the table. Later, his hands and fingers twitch with jittery movements that synchronize with the exact moments he describes the fictional green truck. This heat map highlights the body's primary release valves for anxiety: the hands, feet, and neck. Lee exhibits this perfectly, down to a fresh, bleeding scratch on his neck that he struggles to explain. A liar can consciously freeze their posture, but the brain's overexertion will eventually bleed out through these subconscious physical tics. The interrogation reaches a breaking point when the male detective reveals they have hard proof that Lee's story is a total fabrication. The dynamic shifts as the female detective takes over, utilizing an emotional, pleading approach. She asks Lee to be human, offering him a psychological off-ramp to end the standoff. They then confront him with a detail they could only know if they had been watching the video. Savannah kicked the car door open from the inside 3 separate times while he held her captive. Confronting a suspect with highly specific, incontrovertible evidence destroys the false reality they spent the last hour trying to build. Lee's resistance breaks. He provides a full confession, which leads the dive team to recover Savannah's remains from a pond on the west side of the city. Lee's mistake was the belief that he could navigate an interrogation without knowing what evidence the other side already possessed. The interrogation shows that human biology is poorly equipped to manage the real-time weight of a complex, improvised lie. However prepared a suspect feels, the cognitive burden of deception eventually triggers the verbal cues and physical leakage that lead to their confession.